Hello and welcome. I'm Elaine Canyon, sweetly writing happily ever after, one book at a time. And in this video, we're building your cover design toolbox. Last week, we talked about illustrated covers and how to work with those and make sure that you're getting a professional looking cover when you're designing it yourself. And today I'm going to talk to you about photo manipulated covers and specifically lighting in photo manipulated covers, because out of everything that makes a photo manipulated cover look good, lighting is the #1 way to tell if it's been done by an amateur or by a professional. And I want you to create covers that look like professional covers. So let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some examples of where lighting's used and how it's used so that you can translate that over into your own covers. Okay, so again, this is just a Google search for photo manipulated covers. And I will be perfectly honest with you, this search was not as great as the others. I did actually do quite a bit of digging to get to the covers that we're going to look at. But it does still give you photo manipulated covers. It just gives a whole lot of not photo manipulated covers as well. So let's dive in. I wanted to look first at this one. So this is a pre-made book cover from DIY Book Covers. And what I liked about this one was that it made sure that all of the lighting ended up in the center. So we do have the sun up here, and it is lighting the castle in the background really well in the correct way. But what it's also doing is the lighting is illuminating this little city area that they have created for this, either sci-fi or I wouldn't use this as a fantasy cover. I would do either a sci-fi or a science fantasy cover for this, or a steampunk, because there is a lot here that is just a little bit more on the science side. But that aside, they've made sure that the lighting is lighting up the area where the book title is supposed to go. And then it's lighting up this area down here as well. So if your book title needed to come down a little bit, it could, and it helps to bring the eye in so that you're looking down here at the center. And so lighting is how we're doing it. There is framing. There's this very mild bit of framing here with the cave. But the biggest thing that the lighting is doing is it's pulling your eye to the center. And then the frame is just helping to guide you through it, because there's this bit of a road here too that's helping to pull you in. So let's also jump over here. Oh no, it's this one. There we go. This is a more traditional photo manipulated cover in that it really is just photos layered on top of each other. And what I like about this one is that and this is another pre-made cover. It's from Behance. And what I like about this one is that the lighting is used top down. So the moon's lit up, the plane's lit up, the city's lit up, but the boy here is lit up on the top. And then for this bottom third of the cover, the designer has pulled all the light away gradually, but it's gone. By the time you get down to here on the bottom of his backpack, it's gone. There's no more light, and it is all black. And so you can tell that this is still a colored photo because you can see green, a semblance of green through here against the purple of the water. But they've used light to make sure that what you're focused on more than anything is the subject, this main character here. And then they've also made sure that the lighting from the moon is hitting him and illuminating him naturally. We don't have light over here, but it's lighting him up enough that it's pulling your eye to him more than the moon is pulling your eye, because the moon is the source of light. So it's actually the brightest thing on here. But because the cityscape is also lit up, when you light up this side of the boy so that the moonlight is on the correct side and your lighting's correct, you're creating this image here that pulls the eye to the human, because we like humans. We like to see things that are ourselves. But it also is going to illuminate him so that as you make everything else darker, especially as you come this way across away from the moon and everything goes dark, it pulls your eye in to the most important thing, which is the title and the main character. So this is another example of a pre-made cover. And this one is a good example of when you kind of have to cheat the lighting a little bit. So we can tell based on the lighting that's coming over here that there is a source of light over here. And we can assume that that's where the sun's hitting based on how the lighting's hitting across the water over here and on this side of our main character. But you've got the storm in the background and the lightning coming off of it, and it's dark on this side. But because of the lightning there, they've been able to, I won't say cheat because it's not cheating, but what they've been able to do is they're able to light up parts of her dress that you wouldn't normally be able to light up. And they're able to not have to mess around as much with the lighting here as they would if they hadn't put the lightning in back here. Because we can see that there is some sort of sunlight or moonlight or something over on this side because that's what's lighting everything up. And they've made sure that the lighting works through there. But that's something to think about as you're pulling images for your cover. If you're doing a photo manipulated cover, is what side is it lit up on? And if you don't know how to manipulate lighting in a program like Photoshop or like GIMP, you either need to choose to learn how to do that and take the time to like do YouTube University for it, or you need to make sure that when you pick your images, they're all lit on the correct side so that as you layer it up, it doesn't look forced and it doesn't look like something's wrong. This is another one that I really liked. There we go. And I liked it because they've managed to create a very fantasy looking environment, but all of these are photo manipulated images that have been layered on top of each other. And so one of the things that they've done to make sure that that works is they've got the lighting. So you have all of these fairy sparkles, and that helps so much. Not only does it help to draw the eye to Tinkerbell's wings here, but it also helps to frame a little bit because it's pulling your eye in because your eye is attracted to light. So it takes a cover that honestly would be very dark. If I could take all of these sparkles away and all of these starbursts out, you would be shocked how much darker this cover looks and how much flatter it looks. Just because it's a photo manipulated cover does not mean that it doesn't have a tendency to be as flat as an illustrated cover. Any style of cover is going to need help to pop and to stand out. And that's the sort of thing that sets an amateur designer apart from a professional designer. One of the other things that I thought was really clever here is this is a Peter Pan retelling and a villainous Peter Pan retelling. So Peter Pan apparently is the bad guy, and we've got Hook and Tinkerbell coming together. And so you have Neverland back here as a light source. And what that does is that it allows Hook's face to be lit up. Because if you were to take Neverland out, not only would Captain Hook's ship kind of fade into the background and not really stand out as well as it does right now, Captain Hook's face would have to be incredibly dark for the lighting to make sense. And so by creating a situation where you have Neverland here, you get to light up his face, and then the moon helps to light up everything else, and then the sparkles take care of the rest of the lighting. So what we're doing here is we're playing to make sure that everything is lit up, but in a way that looks natural. Because if we were to actually follow the lighting here, we would find out that Tinkerbell's face should actually be quite a bit darker than it is. But because there are so many sources of light everywhere, your brain doesn't catch that. Your brain looks at it and says, oh, it's fine. Because there's light everywhere. So of course her face is lit up, and it's darkened in the most important part, which is right here where her hair covers her face. And so there's a shadow there, and that looks natural, and your brain doesn't recognize that there's actually no light right here to light her up because the moon's behind her. But because we have these light sources, we're able to trick the eye into believing that the lighting works. Plus it makes it magical and it lights everything up. And it creates a scenario where the cover looks really well done. So this is an object cover, and an object cover means that we're using objects and text as opposed to just text or putting people on the cover. And in this scenario, what they've done is they've put the light to come from up top here, and it's coming in through the water. And then that lighting allows the designer to highlight the dagger and also to highlight the text. And that's an important thing when you're doing an object cover, is to make sure that your text is lit up. I've seen object covers before where the text it looks like it was just slapped on there. So they've got this really lit up, beautiful picture, and then the text has nothing on it. It's a flat cover. Lighting in text is super important when it comes to an object cover. Object covers, the text, that title, is as much a part of the object cover as the object itself. And so the water that comes down here and forms the crown and wraps around the dagger, all of that is lit up. There's lighting, there's highlights. You can see everything that's happening here. And then it's reflected again in the text. And you can see that the water is being played with around the text. And so the water wraps over the top serif of the E, behind the middle serif, and behind the main staff, over the bottom serif of the M, comes around, comes up the top of the O and through it, and then down and around the rest of the dagger. And then over here in front of the serif for the C. That's important when you're doing object covers, that your text is as much an object on the cover as whatever else you're putting on the cover. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to go to this extreme where this designer has made sure that the water and the text are interacting with each other. But it does mean that your text needs to feel like an element in your object cover unto itself, and it needs to play with the rest of the objects in the cover in a similar way that you would have the crown and the dagger and the water playing together. This needs to play together too. The text needs to be part of that. And you can see even her name, the author's name, K.L. Moody, is affected by the lighting. So the designer has made sure that the lighting is playing with the author's name, so that way it's not just a picture with text on top of it. And that's honestly what makes a huge difference in design when you're making a cover and you want it to look professional, making sure that all of your elements of your cover in your layout interact together, that they're a part of each other as opposed to playing independently of each other. We want them to come together cohesively and to be obvious that they're meant to be there together. For example, in this cover, if this just said the word crown and the water did not interact with it at all, and it wasn't intertwined with the rest of the design, and I put a different word crown on top of it, you probably would notice. The designer has done such a good job of making sure that it's connected and it's a part of the design. It's an element that they are designing with. It looks like it's meant to be there and it's meant to be a part of it. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope that you understand a little bit more that when it comes to photo manipulation, that lighting and making sure all of the elements work together is really important to making sure that you have a cover that looks professional as opposed to a cover that looks amateur or looks like it needs work. So in the next video, we're going to talk about places to get pre-made covers and what to look for when you're looking for a pre-made cover. And I promise you, it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg to be able to get a good pre-made cover. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other authors find it. And if you don't want to miss out on the video next week, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I post videos on Wednesdays about cover design, discovery writing, and self-publishing on a shoestring budget. I hope to see you again soon.